What's up guys, welcome back to another video. The trade yesterday ended up being a no trade for me personally, as well as for most of the people inside VIP. But ultimately, today will likely be different because today we have news, tomorrow we also have news. We came up with a perfect weekly bias yesterday, but the thing about weekly biases is that they need time to play out. And so I think today is going to be a much higher probability of trading day compared to yesterday. Before I get into it, just realize that you have 4 days remaining until the big masterclass on this Saturday, where I'm going to break down the full 80% win rate trading system that I've been using here on YouTube, and I'm just going to break it all down in a free masterclass. If that sounds interesting to you, click the link below, sign up. But otherwise, let's get into the video. Now, first things first, when we come onto TradingView, we see that there's Black Friday. To those of you who are new to trading and you are thinking about whether or not this will be the best deal of the year, every year it's already common knowledge amongst traders that Black Friday is the #1 time to buy TradingView. So if you're thinking about it, don't think for too much longer. You have 4 days left to take advantage of this. I will put my referral link down below. That will get you a small discount, but I am not sponsored by them. It's just a tool that I use and highly recommend that you use as well. But anyways, let's get into the video for today. So kicking us off on Bitcoin from the daily chart, we currently have a bullish daily bias. However, just like what we mapped out yesterday in terms of the weekly bias, when you have a weekly bearish bias, the first couple of days of the week could pump, in which case it will end up being the high of the week before we get the true movement of the week towards the downside. This is exactly what happened last week. This is also exactly what happened in 2 weeks ago. And so before we get into a bullish daily bias for today, we have to make sure that all of the signs are clear for a bullish move before we jump into this, because otherwise we're just going to be playing into the manipulation of the smart money, where they drive the prices up at the start of the week, high of the week, Monday, Tuesday, bang, go down towards the downside. So at the moment, we are dealing with this fair value gap at the moment on Bitcoin, where we have already filled it, but at the moment, it looks like we're getting rejected off of it. The lower time frame is going to give us a much clearer picture though. And in terms of the lower time frame, what we can see is potentially, just potentially, a market maker sell model. What I mean by this is that ultimately, this is your smart money reversal. You have one impulse up, 2 impulses up into some sort of higher time frame key level, in which case that is the fair value gap that we are talking about. And from that point onwards, if you get a break in market structure, which, let me just remove all the drawings for now. If you get a break in market structure, which is going to occur at 85,850, this is known as a market maker sell model. And it is a model that we have used time and time again to quite literally predict every single major dump on Bitcoin over the past 8 weeks or so. So this is a very high probability model. It just doesn't show up that often, but when it does, it's pretty powerful, especially when it's happening on the higher timeframes. So just keep that in mind, that even though we are having, bullish market structure, just understand that we are currently still in the possibility of some sort of market maker sell model. And second of all, in terms of the 1 hourly chart, we can see that there is a reason to be bearish. There's also a reason to be bullish, right? This is a bullish CISD, and this will be a bearish CISD. Let me just go down to the 5-minute chart to see if there is a play that is, making more sense. And one thing for sure, the direction for today is going to be a little bit unclear, just because of the fact that we currently have a weekly bias that is down. The daily bias is pointing up. The 1 hourly time frame is pointing up, but we also have a reason to believe that there is a market maker sell model at play here. So I think the best way to approach today is going to be to observe what the price action does heading into the news timing. And in terms of the news timing, if you just take a look down below here, you have 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. as the major news of today, which means the ideal trading window for today is going to be an hour before news to an hour after news. So ideally, we're going to be looking to enter our trades from anywhere between 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. And we're going to be looking to exit the trade anytime between 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., at least based on New York time. So what's really going to happen is there are 2 scenarios that this is going to, kind of play out. Well, the first one is, in my opinion, the less likely one, just because of the fact that, yes, we have, 1 hourly bullish CISD and everything, but when given the choice between taking a signal that is based on the higher time frame versus the lower time frame, which in this case, we have a bearish weekly bias, plus a potential market maker sell model, usually lean more in that direction. But at the same time, we also have to deal with the fact that based on the system, if you have a bullish daily bias, you are looking for longs. And so far, there are 2 scenarios that will play out here. And both of these have to do with the Asia session low. So at the moment, you can see that London has already swept out Asia's low, which means this is potentially going to set up as some sort of an accumulation, manipulation, and distribution type of session, type of profile. Whether or not this will happen will highly depend on what happens when it comes time to around 7:30 a.m. When it comes to around 7:30 a.m. The reason I say this is that, for example, if you start having a 5-minute change in state of delivery, and this continues until 7:30 a.m. and beyond, then, well, you may be looking at an AMD setup. But in the event that when it comes time to around 7:30, all you see is that price is getting rejected off of this level and you are forming bearish changes at delivery, then the trade for today is very likely going to be towards the short direction. And of course, as usual, I will be posting a trade update on X. If I do decide to take any live trades, I'll post them all on X, but absolutely free. That's not going to be gated behind some signals group. But otherwise, something else that you need to realize about this market maker sell model is the fact that this is not going to be confirmed until we get a 1 hourly candle close beneath 85,900. If we do though, well, you are looking at much more downside, at least for this weekly target to return back to $80,000. So just be careful of that. Now, one of the other reasons why I'm not going to be looking to jump into a long way too soon is the fact that in terms of the daily chart, you are still trading right into resistance. And second of all, the fact that you have been breaking lower during the Asia session and the London session makes me believe that you don't really want to be going long until at least this is broken, which is 88,300, where you will get a 1 hourly change in state of delivery towards the bullish direction. So at the moment, I know what you may be thinking, like, whoa, I came here for a trade call, but like this guy's just giving me random scenarios. The truth is, this is one of those days where you have quite a lot of information all pointing in a different direction. There are many days over the last 300 days that I've been making these daily videos where the trade is super straightforward. As an example, basically the last couple of weeks has been just, all right, just go short. Unfortunately, as much as I would love for this to be the case, not every day is going to be as straightforward as today. So my advice is to observe what the market is doing. Our job at the end of the day is not to predict what the market's going to do next. It's to simply mark out some high probability scenarios that are likely to happen. And when they happen, we'll have an exact game plan, set 1, 2, 3. And so this makes trading much more of a game of reading and reacting rather than a game of predicting, which is a loser's game, right? Nobody's able to consistently predict what the market's going to do. I know I've had some pretty decent results so far, but still, I'm not trying to predict. I'm simply, putting this raw information through my system and coming up with some sort of analysis, which I present to you guys, and somehow that's gotten me to about an 80% win rate. But still, I don't claim to know what the market's going to do next. And so as much as I would love to just give you a goal directly, like, okay, just do this, reality is, this is just not enough information. And I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside, maybe like 60-40 towards the downside. But time will tell. When it comes time to around 7:30 a.m., I'll definitely be on Twitter and I'll be posting an update. But otherwise, just take a look at Ethereum. Whoa, Ethereum had quite a big pump, but you are still trading into some sort of resistance. And over here, you have that bearish fair value gap. In terms of Ethereum, I think the market maker sell model is even more clear because over here you have the fair value gap, smart money reversal, this first impulse up, second impulse up. And again, this remains the level to be broken, which is 27.85 before you really want to like start piling on the shorts. I don't know if this will happen when it comes time to the news. It could also just kind of bounce from, this order block or this fair value gap and price starts heading up from here. Again, both scenarios are valid. Just understand that today is a high probability trading day because ultimately we have news, which means there is going to be volatility, unlike yesterday where nothing really happened. We're still going to be looking to trade today. It's just at the very moment, I cannot responsibly just give you some sort of trade idea because there is at the moment not a super clear one. Ultimately, like, I know a lot of you watch me every single day and you guys do actually take action on these calls and analyses. That's why I feel a great amount of responsibility to make sure I give you the best, or like just the best quality trade that I could possibly give you to the best of my ability, at least every single day. But otherwise, in terms of Solana, you're trading into this sort of daily resistance at the moment. And even though you have a bullish daily bias, again, you are still trading into high time frame resistance. And same story here, market maker sell model. So yeah, just understand that on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana at the moment, you are looking very similar. And if there's one thing you do today is not to open a trade on all three of these at the same time, because ultimately, as you can see, it's the exact same chart. In the event that one dumps, everything's going to dump. So you think you're taking different trades, but in reality, you're taking the same trade, just 3 times with 3 times the amount of risk. But otherwise, make sure you sign up to the masterclass. It's going to be absolutely free and it's going to be fire because then I'm excited for this. And yeah, see you guys on Twitter and see you guys in tomorrow's video. Ciao, ciao.